football time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's very exciting. Very, very exciting.
Best time of year.
It really is. Whew. I'd like to welcome y'all to the LK Sport Podcast. This is episode number 50, LKSP 50. In the beginning of the football season. Perfect timing. Let me get this down a little bit. During this next 8 episodes, LK 50 to 57, we're going to give you break down each division. So today we're going to do AFC South, next NFC South.
You're going to get the bad ones out of the way.
Hey, some people would argue that. But we're going to go down each one. We're going to give you a lot of information fast. We're going to break down rankings, fantasy, free agent signing, the draft. Like I said, we're going to give you a lot of information fast. We're going to touch a little bit on fantasy football, but we actually going to do a fantasy football podcast. So just expect a lot of information coming from us at LK Sport Podcast. I think we did our due diligence. We studied. We wrote a lot of things down. We're really trying to bring in as much knowledge and facts as possible going into this year. We take much pride in it.
That we do.
Last year we did it. It was. I'm gonna keep it a buck. It was shit, but it was good. It was a beginning, learning lesson for us.
Except for that Dallas Cowboy pod, that one was all right.
Yeah, whatever. but yeah, like I said, we're gonna go through each one. We're gonna try to keep it 45 minutes or less. Give you a lot of information. We're gonna talk coaches last year, over under, a free agents. What I'm finna say, I said free agent twice, but I over fantasy football, a lot of F's here. But AFC South, we're gonna start there with the Houston Texans. Start us off.
Yeah, they went 3-13-1.
How you doing? Sorry,
I'm good.
My apologies. No, we
get so used to it. We're still getting used to it.
Yeah,
I mean, it is what it is. The Houston Texans, they were 3-13-1 last year, which earned them, the second pick in the draft. They fired their head coach, Lovie Smith, and brought in DeMeco Ryans, the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator. They said 3-13-1 last year, so most of these things are not going to be pretty here. Some of their team stats from last year on the offensive side of the ball, they were 31st in total offense. Total offense is just their yards combined. They were 31st in points at 17 points per game. They were 25th in passing, 31st in rushing. On the defensive side, they were 30th in total D, 27th in points against at 24.7. They were 11th against the pass, which doesn't sound too bad, but that's because they were 32nd against the rush, so teams didn't need to throw the ball against them. They were 18th in sacks, and their turnover differential last year was -1.
Which ain't the worst.
It's not the worst. It's not the best either, but for being that bad, that's not that bad.
All right, so we already can tell they wasn't great last year. So this year, they went and got Casey Keenum, Mike Boone, Devin Singletary, Noah Brown, Robert Woods, Dalton Schultz. They re-signed Laramie Tunsil, one of the best left tackles in the game, at 3 years, $75 million. Shaq Mason, they went and traded for him from Tampa Bay to boost up that offensive line. I'm going to go back over the offense. Devin Singletary was a good signing to me to help Damian Pierce, which we'll talk about on a fantasy purpose, get him some help back there. Maybe you don't want to pick him as early as usual, but I think he's still going to be that workhorse. Excuse me, on first and second. But on the defensive side, they went and boasted up a little bit. They went and got Sheldon Rankins signed him to a 1-year. Hassan Ridgeway, Denzel Perriman, Corey Littleton. They went and got Shaquille Griffin on a 1-year contract, and they went and got Jimmy Ward from San Francisco.
So a lot of good things there.
Yeah, they trying to win. I feel like DeMeco Ryans' first year, he's not trying to sit on his hands. He drafted C.J. Stroud first round, him and Will Anderson back to back, number 2 and number 3. Will Anderson from Alabama, C.J. Stroud from they would like me to say it like this, the Ohio State Buckeyes. So I like the pick. I like
that wasn't to the pick. That was to Ohio State.
Gotcha. I like what they got going on. They drafted a center, starting center from Penn State, Juice Scruggs. Like I said, then they went and got Nathaniel Dale from
Houston.
From Houston, but from the reports they said C.J. Stroud
told
the guy. They call him Tank Dale, but They said C.J. Stroud, quote unquote, said go get him. So I guess I don't know how true that is, but I'm here to believe it. In the hype right now, I'm on the hype.
And they'll have Michi, who didn't play last year.
Robert Woods, he got some veteran leaderships there. Excuse me.
Noah Brown, that guy was on a really good team last year.
They was okay. They didn't make the Super Bowl or anything, but hey, who cares? But Noah Brown was with the Dallas Cowboys last year, and another big signing for them was Dalton Schultz. I really like that signing for the Houston Texans. I think he brings him a lot of poise, some professionalism to that team.
Yeah, rookie quarterback's best friend is a good tight end.
And Dalton can catch the football. Ask that. He looked to him a lot when he was in Dallas. It's one of those I can't believe Dallas let him go, but things happen. Money changes things. So their over under is 5.5 for this year. Me personally, I take the over on that. I just like Houston. They got the 7th easiest schedule coming up this year. Like I said, I just like what they did. They got the 25th ranked offensive line, which concerns me. But with C.J. Stroud legs, he can extend some plays. David Singletary probably going to play third down. He's going to run the ball with Damian Pearson. We're going to see what Michi got. Robert Woods going to bring what he brings. They're going to see what Tank Dale got. That depth chart, let me get that depth chart up for you. Just from on paper, because a lot of this stuff is on paper. We all know that we can see things on paper.
Yeah, these are projected depth chart for this season. Yeah, none of this is set in stone.
So I'm gonna go to it real fast. C.J. Stroud, Damian Pierce, Nico Collins, Robert Woods, Michi, Schultz. Then you got a fullback and Beck. Then you got Tunsil and Juice and the rest of the guys. Shaq Mason on that front offensive line, and on defense, I'm just gonna pick out some names here. You got Will Anderson, Sheldon Ranks. I like Christian Harris. A lot of people don't know about that guy. They went and got Corey Littleton to back him up. They went and got Chase Winovich. These just pros. They're not going to really, these ain't the
Jerry Hughes had 9 sacks last year. So.
Correct. And then you went and got Jimmy Ward to shoot up that safety spot behind Stingley, Derek Stingley, which you drafted last year
from
LSU.
Into his second year, yeah.
Yeah, so we hoping he take a next leap, and you brought in another vet in Shaquille Griffin, which he always played well at the cornerback position. He's not Reeves. He's not those guys, but he plays very well.
He's not.
Whatever. But he's good. He does what he does. He know coverages. He knows schemes. He know what he don't. He's not afraid to come up and tackle. So, like I said, I feel like they put a roster together to compete this year and try to win some football games.
I agree. I think if they get if Stroud if he ends up winning the starting job, which he's expected to, as long as he's not a total. I mean, he's going to have his ups and downs because he's a rookie. But yeah, I think they should be. They're definitely better than three wins that they won last year. That I for sure. Just with their defense is going to, with that coach, their defense should be immensely better. I think this is one of the weaker divisions in football. I think they could compete for second place in this division. I think they could compete right there, just with some of the questions in this division now. But again, that's not saying much. This team's going to get this division will get one playoff team. That's a fact. Facts. You can write that down. One team from this division makes the playoffs, especially in the AFC.
So fantasy football, we're going to touch on. Like I said, we're going to have a major part for that as well. But me personally,
Pierce,
it depends on the round that I get him.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but I mean, I would say, I'm saying Pierce.
I'm not in. I will.
He's going to be. Pierce. He will be the workhorse
for sure, no doubt. I like Devin Singletary. He's going to be a third down back. We'll see how it works with CJ Stroud.
We'll see. I mean,
it's kind of hard to predict what a rookie quarterback can do, and plus a rookie quarterback that can run for first down. They typically don't dump off to the backs on third. So.
I don't like Singletary. No. I mean, he's disappointed me in Buffalo so much, like fantasy wise, that I don't like him. And but the thing I like about Pierce too is that as bad as that team was last year, he was still very, very solid as a fantasy back. So I
like Dalton Schultz. If you don't have a tight end at the end of the draft, I'm pretty sure he should be there. I'm not quite sure. Some people might be higher on him than usual. Dalton Schultz, I wouldn't be too upset if my running back wide receiver was looking pretty good and I had Dalton Schultz at tight end. Like he said before, rookie quarterback tight ends are their best friends.
Yeah, he'll be a top 5 to 10 fantasy tight end this year.
That's not saying much though.
It's not. But I mean, he's been top 5 the last couple of years when he's been on the field.
Right.
He had some injuries, so but
whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah, teams are going to be looking at him for now. Sure, they're going to be looking at him differently. There's no CD Lamb on this team, or
True.
Amari Cooper and those guys that have been in Dallas the last few years. So
right. If you want to take a flyer and put him on your bench, Nico Collins is a sneaky pick for me personally. Even John Mechie, if you just want to pick up some of these guys and put them on your waiver watch list and see what these guys do in the first couple of weeks. Like I said, they had the 7th easiest schedule. I'm gonna go through the beginning of their first couple games. They open up at Baltimore, at home Indy, at Jacksonville, then at home at Pittsburgh. I mean, off that they might. 1 and 3, maybe. So
that's the problem when you go through the schedule. Then you're like, oh, maybe they're not going to win that many games. But
you never know.
But it's the NFL. It's the NFL.
But 5.5. I'll take the over. What would you say out the just time?
Yeah, no. I think I like that over too. I said as long as they get any kind, as long as Stroud is not a complete bust. But I mean, I think even if something happened and Stroud was playing bad, if they went back to a Keenum or Davis Mills here or something like that with this new roster, I think they should be able to get to 6 wins. I mean, this is not going to be a good football team, but they should be a much improved football team.
I think they could have won more games last year. I think it was in the cards for them to get a high draft pick. That's just me. I'm into all that. I look into things differently. I think this team could have won a couple games last year, but
Yeah, no. I mean, they won just enough to freaking fall out of the.
I think Lovey tried to stick it to those guys, but who knows? Who am I? I'm just
I was just looking at my things. My first, again, fluid. My first run through the NFL schedule. I actually have them winning 7 games.
Great.
I had them winning 7 games. So
let's move on. Indianapolis Colts, we're going to go with next. Like I said, I got a lot of information wrote down here.
Yeah, so the Colts were 4-12-1 last year.
Right on.
They finished second to last in this division, the Colts. They also have a new coach. They brought in Shane Steichen, the Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator. A little bit of an offensive genius there, some people would say. Last year, they were 27th in total offense. They were 30th in points at 17 points per game, 23rd in passing, 23rd in rushing. They were actually 16th in total D, but they gave up 25.1 points a game, which was 30th. 12th versus the pass, 21st versus the rush. They were 10th in sacks, but lost their top sack guy. And they were minus 13 in turnover differential, which was was one of the worst in the league. So that was turnovers were a big point. I think even that's why some of their points per game, while their defense was 16, I think they gave up a lot of their offense gave pick sixes and putting their defense in bad positions. So if you have a really terrible offense, that's really doesn't help your defense. Last year, right? 4-12-1.
4-12-1, yeah. But I don't know, man. The Colts, they I don't know. It was just something about that team last year. I can't really put my hands on it, but they went and got Gardner Minshew on a 1-year deal. Basically, he's insurance for Anthony Richardson, I believe. So, yeah,
I think Minshew starts. I think he starts the season starting. Yeah.
So I like Minshew personally. I think he got some bull nuts on him. He cares, he tries, and that's what you like at the quarterback position. Me personally, and he learns to play.
Yeah, I've always liked Minshew. He's a little Minshew mania and stuff. For sure. I mean, I don't think this team's gonna be very good, but we'll get to that.
True. So they went and got Farrell Bryant, Isaiah McKenzie. Oh, that name sounds familiar. He came from the Buffalo Bills. Then they went and got on defense. They got Tavin Bryan, Samson Ibokam. Then they went and got E.J. Speed. They really didn't do much. Their best signing to me personally was Matt Gay. They re-signed him 4 years. They shored up their kicking position. They went and drafted Anthony Richardson.
They drafted everybody. They had a lot of draft picks.
They had a lot.
So that's what they're trying to rebuild through, it looks like.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go over the top ones that I like personally: Anthony Richardson, Josh Downs, and Julius Brent. His first 3 picks. Like I said, they got a lot of 5th round and 6th round.
12 draft picks last year they had.
Yeah, so they got a top 10 offensive line. I mean, that's always a bonus, I believe. That's going to give, like I said, Gardner Minshew begins the season. They're going to run the ball with Jonathan Taylor.
Try to.
Yeah, at least. And that, with a top 10 offensive line, maybe they pack the paint. Then you still got Michael Pittman still there. You went and draft Josh Downs. You went and I like at tight end. I like Jelani Woods. Who knows? It might be Mo Allen. It might be Granson, which is another thing. It was hard.
Watch the kid from Miami. They drafted too, Mallory. He's a good athlete. So I wouldn't be shocked if we saw him.
I think it's Mallory.
Mallory, yeah,
True.
Yeah.
I like Alec Pierce personally. If Anthony Richardson plays with the arm that Anthony Richardson have, going deep to Alec Pierce will be a bonus this year. So I would kind of watch out for that because he loves to show off his arm strength. But their defense, I don't know much. I know DeForest Buckner. I know Shaquille Leonard. Like I said, they over under 6.5. And I've thought about it. And go over 6.5 is 7-10, which doesn't sound unreasonable in this division.
Under.
You taking an under?
Yeah, I would. I'll tell you what. I think I have them winning like 4 games this year. 3 games, 3-14 is what I have them at right now.
I don't have it
that's fluid. That's fluid, but again,
they have the 3rd easiest schedule. That's the thing. I'm really dependent.
Yeah, well, because they have their division, and then they play the NFC South, which is another not great division either. So it makes sense that they have an easy that they're. But again, that's based on last year, we know how things change. So, but I'm telling you, you gotta go through the schedule. And you're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna find many wins.
I'm gonna go through the first couple.
It's like. I never want to pick a team to win 3 games, but it's like when you start going through, it's hard not to.
I'm gonna go through it one more.
And they lost their top sack guy too.
Okay,
Yannick, I don't know. He's still a free agent for some reason too. I can't believe that.
First game at home, Jacksonville.
Loss.
At Houston.
Loss. That's the one. That was the one I was giving Houston in their first 4 games.
At Baltimore.
Loss.
Home Rams.
Loss.
Home Tennessee.
Yeah, that maybe they can pull that one off, but that's probably a loss too.
Then you got at Jacksonville, home Cleveland, home New Orleans, at Carolina, home New England.
Maybe they might be able to beat New England.
We got the hardest schedule this year in New England.
They're gonna go 1-16 and beat the Patriots. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Pedro would never. If they went 1-16 and beat you guys, you would never hear the end of that. You would never hear the end of that.
Looking at this.
You're going to say under now too, aren't you?
They split with Tennessee. Say they split with Tennessee. Split with Houston. Say they just split with their division. That's 3 wins. They go beat Tampa Bay. That's 4 wins. At home versus Pittsburgh. Who knows how Kenny Pickett playing? 5. I'm going under. I just don't see it.
No, I agree. I mean, even splitting with
Who knows though?
We'll get to. I like Jacksonville this year, but
I wouldn't bet on that. But like I said, top 10 offensive line, 3rd easiest schedule. Fantasy football wise, I like Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, he's a top 5.
I mean, he's got to have a back. You would just think he's got to have a bounce back year.
Very true. Michael Pittman, I wouldn't be mad if him was my 2nd wide receiver. I'd be pissed if he's my 1st wide receiver.
Yeah, he makes me a little bit. I like Michael Pittman, the player. Yeah. But especially if they're losing like we think they might, and they go to and they move to the rookie quarterback,
Alec Pierce.
That makes me a little bit nervous, especially with the guy that's a guy that's going to be very raw and is going to probably be looking to run the ball a lot. So that makes me, you saw it hurt Pittman. It hurt Pittman last year. He had 99 catches last year and only went for 920. Who catches 99 balls and doesn't go over 1,000 yards?
This makes sense.
But and only 4 touchdowns.
Another thing with the coach Shane Steichen that came from the Eagles last year, they ran a lot of RPO, which is perfect for Anthony Richardson. So it's dialed up
for sure.
Anthony Richardson. That's another thing. That's another stash guy. If you draft go early with Josh Allen in a draft or Patrick Mahomes, and you want to spend an extra pick, not another skill guy, you want to stash Anthony Richardson or somebody to. But then again, if you draft one of those guys, you don't want Anthony Richardson on your big. So if you have, say, a Deshaun Watson or some of these middle of the pack guys at quarterback, the Derek Carrs, things of that nature, if you have to draft these guys, you want to stash Anthony Richardson for a rainy day just in case. Like I said, this Minshew train goes downhill. Say they 2-6 going into their bye week, and then for a fact you're probably going to get some Anthony Richardson RPO, some rushing, just like Justin Fields last year. He didn't pass great last year, but his legs got you a championship last year off his rushing touchdowns and things of that nature. So It's
They're not a
interesting.
championship, but they got to the Super Bowl. Yeah,
I'm talking about championship-wise as in your fantasy football championship.
Oh, no, if you're okay with
Yeah.
that, we're talking
if
about
you had
fantasy.
Justin Field last year, it's a great chance you made it to your fantasy football championship last year. He was one of the top guys last year.
He was good. He was really good. I mean, yeah, running the ball especially. Yeah, no.
Any running quarterback is gold in
yeah, that's why
if you don't
a
have
guy
Patrick
like
Mahomes,
Josh
Justin
Allen is
Herbert,
real
and Joe
gold
Burrow.
because
Yeah.
he throws for almost 5,000 yards and rushes the ball.
And then if Patrick Mahomes decides to get you 20, 30 yards on the ground, oh my God, it's a super bonus. So
For sure.
right on. So we're gonna move right along with it. We're gonna move to last year's lead division winner in the Jacksonville Jaguars. They went 9-8 last year. Coach, you gonna tell them all that?
Yeah, they went
Doug
9-8. Doug Peterson is their coach. They were 9th in total offense, 10th in points at 23.8. They were 10th in passing, 14th in rushing. They were also 10th in total D, 12th in points at 20.6. They were 28th against the pass, 12th versus the rush. They were 26th in sacks last year. I think if they had to do it over, I think they would probably take Aiden Hutchinson over Walker from UGA. And they were +5 in the turnover differential for the season.
So. Yeah, can't be upset. You're coming off winning the division. I mean, it's just not the worst season. Doug Peterson always seemed to get it done some kind of way. I like him as a coach. Trevor Lawrence got to take another step forward. I think it's another year for him to be better. They went and got C.J. Beathard 2 years to back up Trevor. Then when they got Dearness Johnson, which is some more security behind Tank Bigsby, which they drafted, and they still got Travis Etienne Jr. You went and gave Evan Ingram 3 years at $41 million to lock up that tight end position for the next couple of years. And then you got some more underwhelming, as in Josh Well, Adam Gosling, Roy, Trey Herndon. Think these guys that you just trying to boast that team. Well, they didn't lose a lot. They just try to add to it. You get Calvin Ridley off suspension, which is probably the biggest one for them.
Yeah, no, mix him in there with like some Christian Kirk and stuff like that. Like, assuming again he hasn't played football in a while, like a year and a half. So we'll see. But yeah, he should be, even if he's your number 2, that's still should be a nice little addition to that team.
I just thought about something.
Cam Robinson is suspended for the first 4 games.
Yeah, he's on the line. I didn't do my due diligence with the Colts. Sorry, Colts fan. I went through roster, and I'm going to do yours as well. So, Gardner Minshew, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Brown, Josh Downs, Jelani Woods. You still got Big Quentin Nelson on that line, Ryan Kelly, William Fries, and those guys. Like I said, it's a top 10 line right here. They can hold them up and see what happens. On defense, you still got DeForest Buckner. I don't see him on your team at the end of this year. You'll probably trade him for some draft picks if this team doesn't do well. I know Kenny Moore, Julian Blackman, all those guys, but if y'all overperform, some of those guys will still be there, but I think y'all will be a fire sale end of the year and build around Anthony Richardson, try to get some picks and build this team up. You brought in, like I said, the rookie first-year coach. I'm pretty sure he want to do things his way, get his players in here. They always do it, and that's how things work in the NFL. Everybody want to do it their way and how they want to do it. So back to the Jaguars. Excuse me. They went and drafted Anton Harrison to boost that offensive line. They also went and got Brenton Strange and Tank Bigsby in the draft and Ventrell Miller. Some of those guys, I like Ventrell Miller. That's why I pointed him out. He's a inside linebacker, Florida. He's a run stuffer. I like him. To add to the Trayvon Walker, like you said, he's kind of underperformed since his rookie season. Maybe it was a product of his environment with all the other stars around. You look great around other stars. You look better with LeBron James on your team, and et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I think he was also like a lot of the even like what's his name from this year. Like sometimes they got overwhelmed with the measurables. Mm-hmm. They got over, because Hutchinson was the better college player, but Walker had he had the 40 time and the bench press and the jump and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes football players are just football players. He's still the guy's an immense talent. It's only been 1 year, so not to say that he couldn't, leap.
I like Trayvon because I'm a Georgia boy, so I'm kind of biased. I love Georgia, but
go
I
Dogs.
feel like you said, go Dogs for sure. 3-time champion, go ahead and claim it, but. Trayvon, like you said, he has another year to do this. I mean,
for sure. But I'm saying like last year when you watched Hutchinson play and then watched him play, you were like, oh man,
he had a motor.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the kid. I like the Detroit Lions this year, so look out for that part. I haven't really got a lot to say about those guys, but their over under is 9.5. They have the 12th easiest schedule, so they kind of mid pack. Strength of schedule, they got the 20 cents ranked offensive line, which is something, if you can't tell as we go through these, this is big for me. I think your offensive line kind of holds that team together a little bit, that front line, keep them from tackling your quarterback, let him cook a little bit. They got a little better. They went up, like I said, but you got Trevor Lawrence. I call him Sunshine because you remind me of the guy off Remember the Titans. So, Sunshine, he got a lot of weapons, guys. Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Ridley, Travis Etienne Jr., Tate Bisbee, Evan Ingram. What more do you want? I mean, everybody want a Devontae Adams, but the skill players that they have right now is built to win. And,
for sure.
And from saying that,
I like the over.
You like the over?
I wouldn't, this is, one of these things. I wouldn't be surprised based on their schedule, which is 12th, but I mean, like I said, I think their division's weak. They play the NFC South, which is I think this is a team, I don't think they're the best team in the AFC or anything like that, but I think they could end up being like the 1 or 2 seed because the division, I think this team could win 13 games or something like that because the way their schedule is. And I expect Trevor Lawrence, like you just said, I expect him to take the next. You saw it even the second half of last year. He was awesome. He looked like the guy that was picked. Because people got to remember this guy was one of the top 2 or 3 highly touted NFL prospect quarterbacks of all time. I think he takes another step and starts getting up into that air with some of these other quarterbacks. And with the offensive line, he's a mobile guy. So that helps when when you can move in the pocket like that. So you can work around that. They did take a tackle, so maybe that helps a little bit too. But yeah, I like this team to win this division and win a lot of games this year. So they'll probably go 9-8 again.
So I'm gonna go through it real fast. At Indy, home Kansas City, home Houston, home Atlanta, home Buffalo, home Indianapolis. Wow, they got a nice home. That's 1, 2, 3, 5 in a row at home. That's nice. At New Orleans, at Pittsburgh in the bye week. I mean, I see like 2 losses in there. 6-2. Maybe you lose Kansas City, which you can go in at home. You might beat Kansas City, so that could be up and on. Going at home, Buffalo.
Yeah, those were the 2 that I was looking at as maybe losses or whatever. So
yeah, 6-2. I can see them going over. Then they got San Fran, Tennessee, Houston again. Just based off their division, they can get those. Cincinnati at home is Monday night, December 4th, which is going to be exciting. At Tampa Bay, yeah, I like the over for them on paper. All this what we looking at.
But either way, I kind of expect them to win this division this year.
Correct.
Even though we haven't talked about the other team yet, but
Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. That line, they got Brandon Sheriff. Defense, you got Josh Allen, Devin Lloyd. I'm just going to speak on some of them. Trayvon Walker, Tyson Campbell. I like Darius Williams. They got it going on. I love their kickoff returner and punt returner, Jamal Agnew. I think he's outstanding returning special teams guy, which I think he will run them maybe a couple back this year, which can win you football games. I'm going to go over that 9.5. And fantasy football wise, no doubt I wouldn't mind having Trevor Lawrence on my team, depending where I could get him. Travis Etienne Jr. Sure. Ridley, Kirk too, and Evan Ingram. The only problem I have with this, I just don't. As I watch fantasy football over the years, when you have these teams with so much talent, it can get divided sometimes. Sometimes I guarantee Ridley, Kirk going to give you a bum week, but you got to stick with them because that might be a week that Zay Jones just has 4 catches for 102 yards and a touchdown, and then Christian Kirk might go 3 receptions for 48, and you be like, why did I draft him?
Yeah, you can have those up and downs. I think you have to be. Yeah. I think in the beginning, I think Kirk is the safer. Yeah. He has the rapport with him. I think he's the safer guy. But I think especially with his little depth as there is. Ingram is a top 5 guy for sure. He's a must start in fantasy. If you'll be happy with Evan Ingram as your tight end this year with his bad. I mean, unless the position has an uprise.
The Andrews, and if you can get in the Kittle, Andrew, the kid from Kansas City, I can't think. Kelsey. I think it. I mean,
it's Kelsey. It's Kelsey, and it's like
they're Andrews, Kittles, and
even Kittles. I mean, I think Kittles, because Kittles is another problem in San Francisco. They have so many. Right. They have so many options there now.
So, I mean, getting Evan Ingram or Dalton Schultz in this division, either one of those guys, I mean, I'd be happy to have either one if you get them late, 10-plus round, and you get those guys. But over 9.5 for me, Calvin Ridley, Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, all.
I think this defense could be, especially with that schedule, could be a sneaky fantasy defense this year, too.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I like Ventura.
I mean, they were 10th in defense last year anyways, so technically that's
good for them. Move on to the last team in this division, the Tennessee Titans. Give it to them.
Yeah, they're coached by Mike Rabel, I think one of the most underrated coaches in the NFL.
Where he came from?
I don't know where he played college.
I don't know.
So last year they were 30th in offense, total offense, 28th in points at 17.5, 30th in passing, 13th in rushing. They were 10th in total defense, 14th in points at 21.1, last versus the pass. So when you're last versus the pass, you're going to be good against the rush. So you're first against the rush. They were 19th in sacks and had a -3 turnover differential. So you never want to be negative, but yeah, that they weren't very, this just was not a very good team last year outside of Derrick Henry.
Yeah. If y'all hear me coughing and clearing my throat a lot, I'm coming off a cold, man, and summer cold sucks. But excuse me if you hear it. 7-10 last year, as you mentioned, over on the 6.5. But I'm gonna go through the free agents right quick. DeAndre Hopkins, obviously, he just signed a 2-year, $26 million. This was a day or two ago now. I like Nick. They brought back Nick, Chris Moore, try to bolster up that wide receiver unit. Corey Levin on defense. They really didn't do much, man. Got Sean Murphy back, Button, which I like, and Artie and Keith. These are just pros that been here, done that, and that knows what they're doing. They have the worst offensive line in football, which is very concerning for Ryan Tannehill.
They brought in Andre Dillard from Philly.
Which he lost his job to, I guess, one of the best tackles in the league. So it's not really I wouldn't say it's just a total bummer. But, I mean, Philly has the best line in football, which we'll talk about when we get there. But
getting old, but yeah, they do.
Yeah, they went and drafted Peter Skoronski. Did I say his name correctly?
Sure.
Skoronski.
I don't.
Yeah, to bolster up that line at the 11th pick, and then they went and got Will Levis, that supposed to be their future, man. He's built like a fucking linebacker, but he plays quarterback, which I don't understand. And they went and got Tajay Spears from Tulane, very fast guy. He really can scat there. Maybe he'll be a different pace guy on third down for those guys. He can catch it, so we'll see what happens. But me, personally, over on the 6.5, I'm over for me. I just like Mike Variable. I know we disagreed in a thread. I love the D-Hop pickup. He's still 31. He runs, his route tree is immaculable. I think he makes Traylon Burks a better player. I mean, he can draw all the DBs. And Derrick Henry is hugging his GM right now. With Traylon Burke as your one, you're going to have 8 to 9 men in the box once again for him. With D-Hop, you got to account for him. He's going to take one, if not him and the safety, so that leaves 9. Traylon Burks take the second-year leap as I projected him because I like his intangibles. He showed signs at the end of the year when everybody was injured, catching passes from Joshua Dobbs, and he tried to catch passes from Malik Willis.
He didn't complete many.
Yeah, so I like him. He doesn't like Traylon Burke as much as I do. I just think he gets it done. I think he just hasn't had a quarterback. The reason they moved on for A.J. Brown, which they might feel like it's a mistake now, they moved on because they seen the same things that I see in Traylon Burke, that he can get it done. He's a big guy. He takes more than one person to tackle him. With D-Hop, he's going to versus a lot of tools and nickelback coverages. Then you got Big O that was getting a lot of
just compare Traylon Burke to A.J. Brown.
That's why they drafted him, because they said that he was A.J. Brown. Like, look it up.
I'm not saying they didn't say that, but I mean,
I'm just saying he's a big guy that take more than one person to tackle him. And then you got the hype of Big O at tight end. So I feel like as I go through, I'm gonna go.
You love Big O. You love Big O. You loved him last year too.
Yeah, but you got Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, Traylon Burke, Nick. Then you got I'm finna try it. I'm gonna give it a try. Chigosium Uncle Unkonaku.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Sounds
Big
good.
O. So
Big O. CW.
Yeah.
CO.
Yeah. So, like I said, and this is the thing that I like more than others. Even though they pass defense rush the worst, they still got Jeffrey Simmons on defense. I like Harold Landry on defense. I like what they did by drafting Arden. They went and got Arden Key. They tried to bolster up that secondary. They still got McCary and Fulton, those guys, and they went and signed Sean Murphy-Button. That's really the X factor for me when it comes to Tennessee. Can they stop the pass this year? Going from, I ain't saying worst to first, but if you go from worst to middle of the pack with Derrick Henry still got anything left in the tank, with D-Hop bringing what he going to bring, Traylon Burke, Ryan Tannehill, get it to these guys and let them try to work their move, I see them winning more than 6.5 games.
Yeah, I mean, my little thing when I went through the schedule, I have them under. I had them only winning 40 games. But again, what I will say is that they have Derrick Henry, they have Rabel, so nothing would surprise me when you have coaches like that. I love DeAndre Hopkins. I love the player. I've loved him since he was in Houston. The guy always seems to produce. Like we said in that we were talking about that, Tennessee is where receivers go to die, especially in fantasy wise. It's factual. It's facts. It's factual. So
but he's not Andre Johnson.
But he makes the team better. He makes the team better. He without a doubt makes the team better.
I'm ready.
I'm saying that, but I mean, Hopkins, I will say one thing, as much as I love Hopkins, as good he is, he's not known for his route running ability. He's like an athlete. He goes up, he gets the ball, he runs some fades. That's what I mean, he can. He's an NFL receiver, but he's not like Devontae Adams. He's not one of those guys like that with the running the patterns, a Cooper Cup or whatever. But he's really good, and he improves the team for sure. There's no doubt. I'm not going to argue with that. It's their schedule, where they're playing with the. I don't know.
They got the ninth schedule.
No, I know, but I mean, it's still when in that division, they could get a couple wins. I know I went through the schedule. I probably would take the over if I was betting. I'd probably take the over, but barely. Can this? this is what I would say. The Tennessee's Titans ceiling this year is win this division at 10-7, 9-8, losing the first round of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. That's the ceiling for this team this year. I think they may be going away from Ryan Tannehill. Plus the other problem is the AFC is just so stacked. That's as much the problem as anything. If this team was in the NFC, they'd have a chance of making the playoffs.
All right, you ready for me to do this to you? About to murder my co-host here. DeAndre Hopkins is 31 years old. Let's go to Julio Jones round. They say when he died. Then Julio Jones went to Tennessee with hamstring problems. He was a speedster. Don't get me wrong, Julio can run some routes. But he killed people with his speed and how big he was. DeAndre Hopkins not that guy. He was a 4-5 guy. He runs the routes. Like you said, he has hands. Even when guys on him, he still catches it. Julio did the same, but he wasn't the same when he went to Tennessee. He was 33 years old. Atlanta Falcons had seen it. I think they seen a decline in him. The hamstring problems year after year. Falcon fans being disappointed in Julio, and he did a lot of great things for making it to the Super Bowl when they lost 28-3.
He wasn't that old though. He wasn't quite that old. He's only 34 now.
So he was 31 when he went there.
Same age as Andre, but I'm saying
the toll on Julio body versus DeAndre body is different. The suspension, it is what it is. It actually kept DeAndre younger in a sense. So when it comes to the Julio die, I don't get that one. Now, Andre Johnson, he was a more physical guy. He was so big, he can just muscle you. He was Grunkish at the wide receiver. He just pushes you, bully you, catches the ball. What can you do about it? And I can't think of who his quarterback was those years. Who was his quarterback?
Andre Johnson?
Yeah.
You're not Andre Johnson, because Andre Johnson was, you're talking about A.J. Johnson. AJ Brown.
Andre Johnson was a Titan, and his career went down. Then you had
he was with
Randy Moss was the end of his career.
Yeah, but I didn't realize I don't remember Andre Johnson going to Tennessee at the end of his career. Sure. I didn't know he left the Texans.
Yeah, he went there.
But I mean, you saw AJ. I'm looking at AJ Brown. The jump AJ Brown took as soon as he leaves.
But AJ Brown wasn't a slouch. A slouch. I'm trying to say.
No, but he was like 1,000 yards, and then he goes to Philly and he's like 1,400 yards, a bunch of touchdowns.
Okay, in a football sense,
but it's the system. It's the system.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm talking more about fantasy. Like I said, he makes them better. DeAndre definitely makes them better.
Football. Let's go. I'm gonna go football first before I switch back to the fantasy. Football. I'm watching the game. I look at them grinding it out with Derrick Henry. It's hard to guard a top guy on your outside with your CB1 and your free safety or so. Have to watch. If DeAndre Hopkins is anything that we've seen before in that blue, red, and white, and the signs he showed he still kind of had it in Arizona. It's going to be a matchup thing for defense. Like, okay, we got to find DeAndre Hopkins. We got to stop the run. If Tannehill's anything that he's an average quarterback and he can beat above average with time, if that play action give him time, and if Treylon Burks, like I said, my opinion, he can take the next step forward, I just think football-wise, they're going to be a problem to deal with. And if that secondary is stepping up any kind of bit, and like I said, that defense still kind of intact, that number one rushing defense. I just think it's a problem.
I mean, I think a lot of the running defense is because they were so bad against the pass. I mean, that had something. I think that had something to do with it. But again, like it's I don't think they're going to be good this year, but I won't be shocked. I mean, we also have to worry about Derrick Henry. We have to worry about the running back. The running back cliff.
I mean, they were 7-10 last year with Joshua Dobbs at quarterback.
Yeah, he only played the last. He only played the last 2 games.
Who quarterback the rest of them? Malik, you had
They played
Malik Willis.
Tannehill started 5 games. I'm sorry, Tannehill started 12 games. He started 12 games. Dobbs started 2 games, and Malik Willis started 3 games. So that's 5. They still played 12 games.
So if you get 5 more games with Tannehill, say you go 2-3, that's still what 9 and 8.
Yeah, they were 6-6 with Tannehill. So they were 6-6. So
I just think they're gonna be a problem football in the cold, trying to hold DeAndre and Derek in December and January. I just think it's gonna be a problem. But fantasy football, obviously, Derrick Henry and D-Hop. That's really the only 2 guys. And if you're in a deeper league, I think Treylon Burks is a pickup for you, the stats, just to see how they're a run-heavy team. So, I mean, it's kind of hard, but as in football-wise, I just like Treylon Burks. But fantasy football, it's kind of hard
I think he's a good football player. Yeah, I don't think he's the start. He's probably not. Unless, depending if you have deep rosters, he's probably not even draftable. But keep an eye on him on the waiver wire for some reason if something crazy happens, Hopkins gets suspended for steroids again or something like that. Like,
I think he's done with that stuff. I mean, I got love for you.
I love D-Hop. I love him. I got to decide if I'm going to keep him or not.
I love D-Hop. I think 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. He's going.
If he's your number 2 receiver in fantasy, you're probably doing okay.
Let's talk right quick. We got a couple minutes at 43 minutes right now. 17 games. Say D-Hop gives you. We're going to keep the very low totem pole. 5 to 6. Let's go 6 catches times 17. That's 102. If my math is correct. If you get 102 catches,
that's a lot of catches.
Say he gets 7 touchdowns. That's a decent fantasy football season.
Yeah, it's not number 1 receiver stuff, but it's good.
I mean, I would love him as my number 2. If you go first round, Justin Jefferson, then your second round running back, and then you get D-Hop round 5 or 6, and he's your number 2. Oh, shit, you got a hell of a team.
Yeah, I think he's right. They have him now since he's signed. They have him. He's like in that 15 to 20 range in receivers. Yeah. And that's about right. I mean, he could still end up being really good, but they said. Again, the whole Tennessee thing with the fantasy, it wouldn't shock me if he dipped a little bit. What would scare me too is if I'm right about this team, if they start struggling, then they go to Will Levis, and then and then who knows what's happened. And then also if this team can't run, like I said, for some reason, if Derrick Henry, because we see it with these running backs eventually, he's a little bit of a freak. When these running backs hit the cliff, it kind of comes out of nowhere.
And another thing, fantasy football wise, goal line. It's hard to distribute that up. You got Derrick Henry, and then you got the fade route. I think they're gonna go the Derrick Henry route more often than not. So that's another thing to think about when getting D-Hop in fantasy football. When he's in Houston,
the fade king.
You throw it up to him and fade king.
Yeah, he's great at that. That's the best.
Which he's still gonna do this year. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, you still got Derrick Henry, which is a mammoth. And in the cold, it's hard to tackle that guy. So that's another thing to think about. So we reached our time limit here. Like I said, we threw a lot of information at you fast. Rewind it, replay it, view it as many times, subscribe, and all that good stuff.
I know. Quickly, we will do a prediction show. But who do you think wins the division?
Jags.
Okay. Just care. This is fluid, subject to change.
Yeah, but personally, I just like Tennessee, man. Especially when it gets cold. It's just something about that coaching style. I love that. It was
funny, before they signed DeAndre Hopkins. The stat the other day was that Mike Rabel has more career passing touchdowns than anybody on the roster, and he played defense and receiving touchdowns.
I believe it, but I just don't think if that team gets it together, that line comes better. And don't get me wrong, they got a lot to improve on, but getting D-Hop and Derrick Henry, getting you some more your defense, some more time to rest. And Tannehill is better than any quarterback they got on the roster right now. I think he's middle of the pack guy. I don't think he's quite bottom 10 guy. So I just think he's
in the AFC though he's bottom couple. But that's
you got the Burrow, the Allens, the Mahomes.
But that's more of just because of the level of the position. But yeah.
So this is it for the AFC South. Like I said, rewind or replay it. Go back through the information as much as possible. If we made some mistakes, comment or below the picture. If we made some mistakes there,
for sure.
I'm down for constructive criticism. This is my thing that I want to do.
We're open for debate.
So facts. So we're going to come at you with the NFC South. Look forward to it next episode 51. And we'll be back with you soon.
Yeah, see you all soon. Subscribe.
I was waiting on that. Be humble, live humble, and stay humble. And you already know I'm grateful and I'm thankful that you listen to the LK Sport Podcast.